So I believe we have a quorum. We have 4 boards. We have Al, Joe, and Crystal from West River. We have Dwight, myself from River Valley. Nobody from Windham. We have Melissa from Stratton, and we have Rachel and Dan from Marlboro. Does that look like? That looks like 8 of us. We only need 7, and it looks like 4 out of the 5 boards.
Oh, here comes Kate as well.
So here comes Kate. So we got 9. We're doing really well. Much better than we used to when we had 23 that we needed, 25. So, changes to the agenda. Anybody in TV land have any changes to the agenda? Changes, additions, deletions? I don't see any hands going up. You folks have anything? Yeah, no, we wanted to sit, just so y'all know, in TV land, they brought a couch in for us, but they won't let us sit in it. You guys have any changes, additions, deletions? Okay. So we're gonna run with the agenda. I got members of the public. You guys wanna go first?
Sure.
So you're live?
Yeah.
Okay, just tell us your name,
Mhm.
and you get like 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So my name is Sarah Kiefer. I am the district school psychologist, and I sent every member of the board a copy of a letter. Since I only have 2 minutes today, I think it's important to share some of this information because I think it's relevant to agenda items, but I would like to request that my full letter be included in the correspondence section.
No, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So the school psychologist position is a full-time position right now. Having a full-time position on staff brings a lot of advantages to the district. You have a dedicated specialist in regards to federal and state education evaluation and eligibility requirements who attends all meetings. Evaluations that are individualized by student need, uniquely tailored to address presenting concerns, flexibility in scheduling so that the evaluation process can be student-centered. We can meet with students, or I can meet with students when they are well-regulated, that causes the least amount of disruption to their daily instruction. On-call, same-day consultation to staff members and families to answer questions or address acute issues. I do this 2 to 5 times a day currently. Regularly scheduled supervision and consultation meetings for different groups throughout the district. Professional development for multidisciplinary teams, and consistency for family and school teams. Bob informed me in January that the intent is to eliminate that position in contract with out-of-district agencies, or one specific agency. I think there are some risks with that, and so I want to share those with the board, and I've already shared this with the central office administration. Those agencies will only provide testing and reports. I think that it's a realistic prediction that this could actually lead to increased bottom line costs. The in-district school psychologist conducts up to 76 evaluations per year, and that's all in one pricing. The average has been 61 evaluations for the 9 years that I've already cataloged. This year is on track to be in the high 60s. That's all in one pricing. So for the cost of salary and benefits, you get all of those advantages and services I previously listed, and you get up to 76 evaluations a year. There's a potential risk in the delay of evaluation completion, which will result in the delay of access to services for students who have disabilities. And there's also a very realistic risk that we could fall out of compliance with state and federal mandates around the timeline for evaluations. And then any additional responsibilities that are reassigned from this position to other people is going to draw away from the work that they're already doing. Even if the district was able to save a few dollars with contracting evaluations, the savings would be marginal at best, and is it really worth losing access to all those other services? Over the last 2 years, I conducted 120 total evaluations, and that's 120 cases that I did new testing for and wrote new reports for. Out of those 120, 110 of those cases required the involvement of a school psychologist, either by the specific tests that were requested or by the disability categories that in the Vermont state regulations require a licensed a licensed psychologist to weigh in on eligibility requirements. As previously discussed with Superintendent Tebow, if the administration would like to reassign the academic testing, that is something that special educators are licensed to do. If that were to be reassigned, then other responsibilities that the school psychologist could pick up could include doing autism spectrum disorder evaluations. Right now, there's not enough time in my schedule to make that happen, But for a one-time fee of around $3,000, the district could acquire the testing materials and the training to be able to complete that. We do 5 to 6 of these evaluations a year, and they cost between $3,000 and $5,000 each. The other service that could be picked up is doing direct service with students to meet their goals and IEPs for functional skills. That includes individual or small group counseling for a number of different kind of skill building. And my understanding is that with the Medicaid reimbursement changes that are coming in October, that the school district will actually be able to bill for those services, and that could then create income for the district for the for offering those services. So just in closing, as a property taxpayer in Vermont, I have children in the public school system. I completely, fully support efforts to become more efficient and financially responsible. I believe that decisions are being made with good intentions, but I do stand by my assertion that I think it's in the best interest of this district to keep the full-time school psychologist on staff. Special education numbers and students' needs are rising, and I'm just compelled to advocate for maintaining those positions that directly impact our most struggling learners.
Okay, so just so you know, the letter was in the packet and it is linked in the agenda.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. So it is part of that.
Thank you.
Do you have, all set? I don't, sir, in the back corner.
No, I'm good.
I have a letter to read to the school board. My name is Melissa Bartlett. We are writing to express our serious and urgent concern regarding the elimination of special education positions for the 26-27 school year. These roles are essential to student success, academic access, and the district's legal and ethical obligations. Their removal places students, staff, and the district at immediate risk. Without these professionals, students with disabilities will not receive timely evaluations, appropriate services, or consistent monitoring as required by law. Teachers and administrators will be expected to assume specialized responsibilities beyond their training, an unsustainable practice that jeopardizes instructional quality, compliance with IDEA and Section 504, and student well-being. These positions are foundational to IEP development and implementation, progress monitoring, behavioral and mental health supports, and meaningful family communication. Eliminating them undermines the district's ability to meet mandated requirements and exposes the district to significant legal, financial, and reputational harm. Taxpayers ultimately bear the cost of reactive measures when preventative and legally required services are eliminated. Families depend on these professionals to navigate complex special education systems and to ensure their children's needs are understood and met. We would like to emphasize how their removal erodes trust and increases the likelihood of formal complaints, due process actions, and litigation. While these cuts may appear cost-saving in the short term, they are likely to result in far greater long-term expenses through compensatory services, out-of-district placements, staff burnout, and turnover. Ultimately, these costs fall to taxpayers. We urge the board to immediately direct the superintendent to reconsider this decision and to reinstate these positions for the 26-27 school year. Doing so is critical to protecting students' rights, maintaining compliance, and upholding the district's commitment to equity and inclusion for students who depend on consistent specialized support services. And we're specifically talking about the elementary school special education case manager, school psychologist, and 2 part-time special educators. Those are the 4 positions that are being cut. And it's signed in support by 53 employees of Windham Central Supervisory Union, including teachers, counselors, academic support teachers, nurses, special educators, paraprofessionals, related service providers, and specialist teachers, including PE, health, library, music, and technology. Thank you.
Can we have that?
Yep.
Because we don't, that didn't come in, we had hers,
Give
so,
it to you.
yeah, if you don't mind. Hey, you other 2 folks,
And
just-
the names are on the back.
yep, thank you. I just, because the person that does the minutes for us is remote,
I'll send her the names.
okay, you know the names, I just need to know who's in the meeting, just for the minutes. So Meredith, I'm gonna send you the one letter that Melissa read, so you have that, and we'll add that to the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my best, and because people always move around when we start doing this, but, Sarah Webb, do you have any comments as public?
She's a board member.
Oh, she's a board member. Oh, do you have any
She's
comments?
Huh? She's just a board member, right?
Yeah.
Hi. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm struggling with unmuting myself and putting my turning my video back on. Yes, I did. I wrote a short letter I'd like to read in support of maintaining the positions that are being recommended for to be cut.
Before you read it, Sarah, can you email it to the superintendent's office, please, so we can include it in the minutes?
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yep, and I'm a parent at the elementary school level. I'm also on the red board. And I do, especially being a member of a different board, I appreciate the difficult decisions you face in balancing resources and priorities. But I'd like to share some thoughts regarding the proposed reduction of the school psychologist position. I'm curious how we can anticipate maintaining the current level of support for students if this position is reduced. For example, how will increased caseloads impact the ability to provide timely evaluations and interventions? What will this mean for staff who rely on the school psychologist for consultation, collaboration, and guidance in supporting diverse learners? This is not something that we're likely to be able to get, at least in a timely manner, from an outside consulting agency. And as a smaller district, I also think it's important to consider the role of economies of scale in this decision. My understanding is this decision was made in part by comparing caseloads to larger districts. But larger districts are often able to distribute specialized staff across a wider population, allowing costs to be absorbed more efficiently. And as a small district, we just don't have that same level of flexibility. A specialized position like this represents a larger share of overall capacity, and reductions can have a disproportionately significant impact. Maintaining key student support roles like a school psychologist may be especially critical for a small district, as there are fewer opportunities to reallocate responsibilities without affecting service quality. It's also important to consider the broader impact on staff well-being. Educators are already managing significant demands, and I know many teachers and staff already feel like they are at capacity. And a reduction like this will unintentionally increase stress on teachers and staff and limit their capacity to meet student needs effectively. And I really hope the board will carefully weigh the long-term impact of this decision on student outcomes and staff support and the overall health of our school community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And you'll email, Bob, should that go to?
Come to me, yeah.
Okay, can you email it to Bob?
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do this, I try to write everybody down, but I have Phillips, I'm not sure if that's the first or last, or,
That's a last name.
okay, wanna share your first name?
Taggart.
Okay, do you wanna make a comment or have anything to say?
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, Carrie Toll, I'm sorry.
Toll. I would just say that I am one of the 53 educators who signed that letter that Melissa just read, expressing our grave concerns about the impact of these cuts to the special education offerings in the district and the impact that they will have on students and staff. I would like to appreciate Sarah Webb pointing out that the role that Megan and Sarah's positions provide in terms of consultation to so many of us. I'm sure the board does not understand how deeply that we depend on that. And I am here to hear the board's response to these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Becky Peloso?
I don't have anything to add. I'm just here observing. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. And I have Abby. That's not Abby from the board, is it?
No, that's Abby Larson, and I don't have anything to add.
Thank you, Abby. Bridget Cole?
Hi, yes, I would like to also support what was been said previously by Melissa and Sarah, both Sarahs. And as a teacher, I can speak with what Carrie was also mentioning, a teacher who has students who receive the services from the special ed department, whether it's OT or the psychologist department. It is imperative to have access to those people that we can get in contact with quickly, who have answers for us. Students who are the ones who are receiving those services are often the ones, are also the ones who need that consistent and familiar face. They need that constant level of support, and again, the collaboration with that team, with the support of the staff is critical. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Bridget, I don't know if you had anything you were reading from. If you did write something you want to send it, just send it to Bob, please, and we'll include it with the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one I had was Monica Sullivan, possibly. Monica.
Hi, yes, I am here and I do have some thoughts to share.
Yeah, go. And if you have something in writing you want to send it, if you're reading from something, that we'd appreciate that.
It's a little bit of both, but it shouldn't take too much time if that's that can be okay.
Yeah, no, you got your couple minutes, so go ahead. We're not real strict.
I appreciate that. I am one of the special educators whose role has been eliminated or terminated due to the changes in the district. And I want to read to you from my parent hat. I also have a child in the district. And I want to just read 2 paragraphs from a letter I had written directed to the West River Board when the West River Board met. And it kind of was perhaps better suited for this audience. And this is in regard to the changes in the challenges with budget and the changes in how special educators will be case managing their own students. And that is as follows. Given that the board is facing unprecedented challenges with the budget, perhaps it is time for unprecedented and imaginative solutions. It is worrisome that the only solutions the board has concluded upon result in taking from the children, the very individuals we are all supposed to be advocating for and raising together. The understanding I am left with from the budget proposal is that when it comes to making hard decisions, the board is willing to put the well-being of my child on the cutting block as first choice. What else am I left to think with so little transparency around how this proposal came together? Being creative includes taking a huge step back and viewing the forest in its entirety. I am privy to an interesting perspective as a parent and as an educator in this district. I am witness to the impact each person has that works in the schools, within the school's walls, that they have made on my child. The encouragement and love from dedicated educators come home with my daughter every night. And true to most children, she is most excited about the extracurriculars. The making soup with Miss Amy, art projects with Miss Suzanne. And as a child with no siblings, the after-school programming is unique for opportunity for her to just be with friends. I'm also witness to the feelings of disconnect between administration and educators in the throes of direct student engagement. And my question is, how deeply, if at all, have the hard conversations been broached regarding administrative roles that come with administrative salaries and benefits and paring down or reduction that could be made? I can only imagine that to be an arduous process to consider. That might mean reopening other budgets, getting creative in unprecedented times. As a parent in this community, I want you to know, I want to know that the board has considered every alternative before taking and landing on taking experiences from my child. And again, this was in regard to a different budget that was being looked at, but it looks like these this impacted me, and I hadn't even realized it was going to. The last things I wanted to share was a little bit about my personal whiplash experience in being told early on that my point 0.5 position was not going to be taken, that I was in the budget already, that comes from the SU budget, however, and that's on paper somewhere. And then attending a different board meeting where I overheard Bob saying that those positions had not been taken away when I had already been told my position was taken away. So I still, apparently from a colleague looking at budget papers, my position is still on there. I don't know. I don't know. And I think that it's not great, doesn't look great when the person in the role doesn't know exactly where they stand. So in ending, my request to the board, as your responsibility is oversight. I have a very unique perspective. I'm in 2 elementary schools. I am a parent. And the parents and circles that I talk in, we've got a lot of frustrated educators. We've got a lot of worried parents. And I am here with the parents, hoping that the board will answer some questions, ask some hard questions, get some insight from the people that are on the ground with the students, working with them directly. Maybe, teachers have many more creative solutions to the budget. And I just wanted to end with maybe suggesting that the board find ways to connect with teachers and people who have left the district. It does not feel good. I'm assuming I'm on my way out, and I just want the school that my daughter goes to continue and be supported. And we've got some really unhappy teachers, not because of their job, but because of the lack of communication with administration back and forth. So, I really want to see this district thrive and more than just survive. And that's all I'll say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I have a Sarah Shine is next.
Hi, yes, thank you. I don't have anything prepared, but I would just echo Monica's sentiments that when we're making these really hard decisions, it's really imperative that there's just complete transparency between you as a board and us as a community. So to have been told last month that there were no hard, fast decisions, and then finding out tonight that people already have been told that their positions are eliminated is concerning and creates an atmosphere that it feels like as a community member, we can't trust what's happening. And I also would add that so far, all of the cuts that we've heard about tonight are focused on our students with disabilities, and it's concerning that they would be the first of this group to be targeted for cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'll say it again, if you have something in writing, if you had anything you were reading from and you'd like to send it to us, then we'll attach to the minutes. I don't know. I had a Jeff, and I don't see a Jeff anymore, unless he moved.
There's no Jeff.
Okay. Guess he didn't like waiting. Megan Hibbard. I'm sorry. Not good with names.
Okay, yes. Hi, I don't have anything prepared. I am one of the educators who's I have been told that my position has been cut. I have not been able to obtain that in writing, despite asking a number of times for that information in writing. I echo what Sarah Shine says about the impact being to students with identified disabilities. And that also, I know enrollment, it may be declining, but the special education population continues to increase. I began the year with 52 students on my caseload across 4 different schools, and I currently have 77 students with many new referrals in the queue. And from a personal standpoint, I would just like to know where I stand with this district. And to get something in writing or something, conclusive, And from an educational standpoint, I really feel like I help the special educators who provide direct services do a better job. They can just focus on the instruction for their students, where I can do all the paperwork so that they can give service delivery as recommended, so that they don't have to take time out of their day to attend meetings and to do the paperwork piece of it all. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. And again, if you have something in writing, please submit it in the next day or so we can attach it to the minutes. I think I have a Zoom user, and now there's a picture.
They left. This is a different person. This is Fiona Chevalier.
Fiona, congratulations on your election.
Thank you very much. So I am coming with 3 hats on. One is as a Red school board member, one is as a parent, and one is as a former employee. And I also work in education in the Brattleboro school district. And from my professional experience, I have never found there to be any cost savings when working to contract services. So as I'm understanding, positions are being cut. Especially I'm concerned with all of the special educators, but in particular, the school psychologists. With my school board hat on, I am concerned that this will open us up to litigation. What the school psychologist does is sometimes very time sensitive, especially with regards to IEPs. And if we are not able to, as a district, provide the legally obligated testing to happen within the time frame that is necessary, we are opening ourselves up to litigation. That is expensive. Also, with my educator hat on, I know that currently in the Brattleboro school district, they are having a very hard time. They have a psychologist on staff and people that can do testing on staff, but as Megan was just saying, the number of students that are needing services is increasing. They are having a very hard time finding contracted people to do work that is testing because there aren't enough agencies around. As a parent, I think having the special ed staff and the psychologist on staff is incredibly helpful. Not only, well, let me back up. Let me put my school board hat on again. I lost my train of thought.
We can give you a minute. I can come back to you if you want.
Here's the thing for my school board hat. By not having services in-house, we are also opening ourselves up to the state saying, oh, this really small district isn't providing the services in-house that is needed. This is one more reason why we should consolidate and split up our district. So I think those are some important things to consider. When looking at numbers, I think it would be very helpful for the school board to ask of the administration to provide the numbers that they say is going to be cost savings. As a parent, I think it's really important to have a school psychologist on staff as a student that receives services, because not only is the psychologist and the special ed services able to happen in-house, they can do it when it best serves students. For example, if a student is having a really tough day and they're not performing at their best, and the psychologist comes in to give them their initial testing, and the teacher can say to them, look, this kid's not having a good day, can you come back? They can reschedule and come back. If we have contracted with an agency, when they come is when they come. And so not only are we paying a lot of money to get testing done, we're also not getting the most effective testing. And so I think we need to look at the institutional history of having people in staff versus contracting services out. So I think we need to look at numbers and we need to look at what's best for students. And I hope that the school board can really take a look at all of the factors that are impacting our students. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, if you have something in writing, you can submit it. Is there anybody in TV land that I missed? I think I got everybody. Sir, you came in late, and I always forget your name. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Rory O'Donnell, staff member, if you want to add me to this, but I don't need to say it today.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate everybody's comments, and we'll move on to financial manual updates. So remember this big packet we all got a long time ago. So this started in 22, 23. We did some revisions, we've adopted it. And in January, Heidi brought it to us to look at again. I think it's an attachment, folks, on your agendas, and it's about 60 pages, 59 pages. I'm sure you just read it all, but we need to adopt the revisions. So has people read through this? I don't read well online. They have to give me paper copies and kill a tree, but did everybody get to look at it? Are you guys ready to make a motion and vote on this? Sure.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the revised financial manual.
Do I have a second to that? Gosh, everybody in TV land, don't jump at once.
Second it out.
Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it. So we have a motion by Al and a second by Kate to adopt the revised Windham Central Supervisory Union Financial Procedure Manual. Is there any discussion for anybody? You guys all set?
Thanks for doing that, Heidi. It was, really good to read. I'm skimming through it going, do I need to know this stuff?
Well, actually,
It's
do,
all
because
important
remember,
stuff.
once a year we have to fill out that form for the state that we've reviewed and we know
That
where
says
the
we have
finances.
the procedures, and
Right.
we do.
So, anybody on TV land, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Well, you guys don't get to vote, so sorry. Any opposed, say nay. It appears as though the ayes have it unanimously. The ayes have it, so congratulations, Heidi, you got the updated
I
financial
appreciate that. Thank you.
manual. Is there somebody new that came in? There's two new people.
Alicia Carey and Nick Morehouse.
Okay. I got two people, folks, that came in late, an Alicia and a Nick. If you guys have anything under members of the public, we'll give you your 2 minutes and then we're gonna move on with the agenda. Nick, you all set? Nick, and there's Jenny, yeah. I don't know if I said that one right.
Yeah.
Alicia, Carrie? Do you have anything you'd like to say?
She's good.
She's good. Thank you, Alicia. And Jen, you just jumped in. I like that thumb. That was kind of cool. Okay, hearing nothing, we're going to close members of the public. Okay, BOCES representation. If y'all remember, a couple of years, several years ago, when Bill Antone was here, he started a BOCES program with Springfield, I believe, right? And we were one of the original founding members of that. And since then, it's grown a little bit, and the state of Vermont has recognized the importance of BOCES. I guess they work really well in other states, and it's helped us with several services that we need to contract out and we can't provide on our own. And then the BOCES, with the change in the law, has become a little bit larger, and I think we have from Brattleboro up to Springfield now.
Up
Woodstock.
to
Woodstock.
past Rivendell, actually, all the way
Okay,
up
all the-
past White
okay.
River Junction. Yep.
Okay, so it's a pretty good area. I know we've had a lot of information about BOCES in at the state level. They've talked about it quite a bit, and I guess it's something that the state of Vermont wants to move more towards?
It's just the state is now using a different name for it. They're
Right.
using a CESA, CESA, which is a collaborative education service agency.
Okay.
And the reason they are changing the name midstream is that the BOCES title, which was a Board of Collaborative Education Services, meant different things to different people. And in New York State, of BOCES is a very specific thing. Well, CESA is more broadly applied, and so more like what I think is happening in Massachusetts. And so the state is now, as they talk about this, and they're talking about this in the Act 73 stuff, they're using CESA, CESA as the acronym instead. But our BOCES, which takes effect July 1, and has been the only BOCES in the state authorized by the Secretary of Education, becomes operational. And so they, as part of the article of creation of that group, it's taking over for what was the Vermont Learning Collaborative, which is the one that Bill helped create. Stephanie was key in managing for a few years. We need to authorize somebody to be the representative from this SU to serve on the board of that BOCES. So that's what your task is, to assign that to somebody. And what the suggestion is, the superintendent or the designee.
Or their designee?
Yep.
Okay, is that as clear as mud to everybody? Somebody's got
Dan has his hand up.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so I would like to make the motion that's included in the agenda tonight, which is to authorize the superintendent
Or their designee as a supervisory union representative, participate in organizational meetings and take all necessary steps to implement the BOCES in accordance with Vermont law.
Thank you, Rich. Yes,
Exactly, that's what he meant.
Really good motion. Well,
That's what he meant, yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Dan. Somebody want to second that?
Second.
You can't second it, Dan.
I can second it.
No, Al beat you to it, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion in the second? Dan, you get first comment or discussion?
Yeah, I just would say that I believe that these are a way forward for many of the small districts around the state to collaborate and, you know, figure out ways to save money and provide services for larger districts. And I'm really glad that we are part of the one that we're part of, and I feel like it's a good way forward. And I also feel like authorizing superintendent or their designee is a good way to make sure that we're included in any decisions that get made along the way.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Al, you all set, or you have any?
Good, thank you.
Any comments from any of the board? Everybody in TV land good? Joe, you're good?
Yep.
Okay, so the motion is to authorize the superintendent or their designee as the supervisory union representative to participate in organizational meetings and take all necessary steps to implement the BOCES in accordance with Vermont law. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
You guys vote good?
Aye.
It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so the motion carries as moved.
Thank you.
School closures discussion. This is not a good discussion. Dan, I know your love for your school, that you attended it, your kids attended it, your grandchildren. I know you were counting on great grandchildren going there while you were on the board. But I didn't know if you want to just talk briefly about the vote you had, and it was a pretty. I was very impressed that over at least half or over half your registered voters voted, and it was pretty overwhelming to close that, which is something I thought probably 10 years ago you never thought would have happened.
Yeah, no, it's true, Rich. Everything you say is true. Honestly, even a year or two ago, I wouldn't have thought it would happen. But I guess if there anything to be gained by other schools from doing this is go into this. Don't rush into it, but don't wait too long either. You know, I think if you started the conversation 3 years ahead of time, you'd really drag your school down and the people working there. And we started the discussion, 9 months before we ended up closing. And we're able, given the fact that it's such a thoughtful community, get people involved early on and thinking about it. But I'm glad that we didn't start it a year ago, because more and more of the people working at the school might have left, and what would happen to morale? As it is, it's tough, but you don't need to stretch it out any longer than necessary. And I think one other thing that we're just figuring out now is that we are, at this point, we're still an independent school district without a school, or of course without a principal or any of the administration that used to run things for for the school district. So we want to rely heavily on this superintendency, but we also need to look at the concept of hiring someone to help us administer as we go forward. A part-time person whose job would be to just take care of all the loose ends that we haven't accurately figured out. What do you do with the building? How do you get the kids where they're supposed to go, et cetera? So nobody in this supervisory union is in the same situation, being an independent district, which might become non-operational in the near future, but just something to think about.
Rachel, you have any comments, or are you all set?
No, I've got nothing to add, except that I went there and my children went there, but I didn't have any grandchildren old enough to go there yet. And I just appreciate our community, and I really appreciate. I think it went really smoothly because our teachers, and particularly our principal, were so committed to sharing what was going on. So that was the one little bright aspect of a very sad moment in our town. And we're struggling not only with how we're going to deal with busing and the building, but how we're going to keep our community a community when there's no school to hold everybody together, because that's what the schools usually do. And that any thoughts, I think anybody on the board would be welcome to hear of how you keep a town community together when you don't have an elementary school to hold it there. So that's all.
Thank you. And then Drew's not here. Drew's not on TV either. I think you're vice chair, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you have
April 8th.
Jamaica. Was the vote happened, or does it happen?
April 8th.
April 8th. Okay, so you guys are going through the same thing. Just as a comment, Dan, I think it's you and I, and if Emily was here, one of my first Windham Central Board meetings was to talk about Windhall, and Stratton was our only non-operating district at that time. And we had Windhall, we had Brookline, we had Marlboro, we had Jamaica schools, and they were all separate schools. Townsend was separate, Newfane was separate, Dover and Wardsboro were all separate schools, and Stratton, and you look, Windham, and you look now, you got no school in Windhall, you have no school in Brookline, now you'll have no school in Marlboro, you have no school in Windham, and you'll have no school in Jamaica, and Stratton's still a non-operating district. It just got a much company now where it didn't used to. So it is kind of sad, and your comment, Rachel, about schools being the center of your community, during Act 60 and Act 68 and Act 46 and Act whatever, all those other acts, we kept saying that to the legislators, you're taking the heart of the community away, and they don't, they said, I remember a comment from a Bennington senator once was, it's not our job to give our communities a heart. So just remember that. Next time you get to vote for Senator, he's passed away, but so anyways, good luck with you guys in West River, and Dan, good luck in the future with that, and we'll definitely, I believe the district, just like we were here for Windhall back in the day, and Brookline, when they combine with Newfane, the SU will be here for you guys too, and for you guys if you do decide to close Jamaica.
Rich,
yeah.
Could I just chime in a little bit and say, it hasn't ended yet, because Act 73 is staring right down the pike at us, and they're trying to do unfortunately, I think they're just taking language from Act 46, which I really think is a shame, because there should be ways to incentivize small schools to figure out what is best for them to do rather than come down heavy-handed. And it hasn't happened yet, but I encourage everybody that's on this Zoom call or there in person to just be in touch with Emily Long, any of your legislators, and make sure they know how you feel about the effects of Act 73, which within a couple months we're going to know what they've decided to do. And I must admit I'm not greatly hopeful that it won't be pretty heavy-handed. So stay in touch with your legislatures and everybody else about Act 73.
And just for those of you on April 5th, 6th, on April 6th, we have Nada coming over to Dover to talk about the Senate map. And, the Dover River Valley, Dover Wardsboro, they're bouncing us between a district in Bennington and a district in Windham County. And it's, it's crazy. Who knows where we're all going to be. So, everybody good with that? Okay, the MTSS Efficiencies discussion, Bob. Hey, I just want to make a couple comments real quick if I could. I believe that the contract should go out on April 15th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have to do if you're going to RIF somebody, do you have to send a notice out earlier than that or just on April 15th?
Earlier, I think it's the first. So, well, different districts are different, but we're shooting for the first.
Okay, so that's in the contract.
Yeah.
It's April 1st. So nobody's been RIF'd yet.
Correct. Not officially.
Right, and no decision's been made on what your MTSS is going to look like.
Well, I mean,
you have some ideas, but we
have ideas for sure, and I think there's been certainly communication with people so that people aren't surprised at the last minute what those ideas are. And I think that's what some staff here have been referencing tonight, that they've been told informally, but the official word has not come through. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to you for MTSS Efficiencies. Sure. I don't think you have anything in the packet for that, do you?
No, it was just an update. So, as folks know, the SU budget was adopted back in the late fall, and that timeline is purposeful so that the assessments for the 5 districts can be created as 3 of the districts vote on town meeting day. That has to be done early so they can adopt a budget in January or early February. So at the time of that budget development, we were 3 or 4 months into the new structure at the SU level around the MTSS reorganization, which was crafted out of an audit we did last year. And that reorganization did eliminate an administrative position at the time. So this fiscal year, there was an elimination of an administrative position in the central office. And just want to mention that because that fact is forgotten as part of that transition. And so at the time that the budget was created, I think we had some ideas around how to potentially find some further efficiencies in the central office and the MTSS budget in particular, because it's the biggest one. But we didn't have it firm enough yet. It was too soon. We had a brand new director of student services who hadn't had time to really kind of get her feet under her yet, and a new director of SCL and equity, and they hadn't had a chance to get their feet under them yet. And so there was a lot of kind of newness to this operation, so we weren't in a position to be able to offer up anything at that time. However, as the winter progressed, and as we learned more and were able to unpack a lot of things that had been set up in the past, I think we started to realize that there were some ways that we could find some efficiencies. This was all happening at the same time that districts were seeing their assessments in their district budgets, and obviously leading to a lot of very upset folks on boards and in communities, as it forced, in some cases, boards to make other reductions in other places. And so, we recognized that pressure for us, despite the fact that the board had adopted a budget and it was pushed into the district budgets, that the pressure to find efficiencies was real and near, and that we wanted to ensure that we were doing our best to provide something that was obviously in the best interest of kids, but also in a financially responsible way. And I want to pause there just to say that I think one of the elements of this whole picture, and I think several people mentioned the reality of this, is that there's a lot happening, there's a lot changing in the state, but the pressures of budgeting at the district board level, at the SU level, are not going to get easier. They're going to get harder. We're using up reserve funds to artificially buy down assessments for the districts. The districts are using reserve funds to artificially buy down tax rates. The state is using reserve funds or other revenue funds to artificially buy down tax rates, which the yield bill is not going to pass, but it's out there and floating around, and that's another attempt. So these things, and I say artificially because these are all ways to make it seem like there's less of an impact to taxpayers, but they're just really tools, and things that kick the necessity to reduce down the road further. And so, I'm taking that responsibility incredibly seriously. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of fingers pointed at the central office for being top heavy and for having too many people and budgets being too big and all that. And so we're really cognizant of that and want to ensure that we're providing the best service. But at the same time, I will say that the vast majority of people, because budgets are mostly people, that are in the two SU budgets are in schools. They're not in the SU office. And they're in schools because the state required that special education costs be pulled from district budgets and placed at the SU level a number of years ago. And so those things it makes it look like the SU is this big thing, but in reality, all we're doing is providing a pass-through for special education funding. So if when folks understand that makes it a little bit easier to understand that I don't get the sense that we're bloated, but I also get the sense that there are things we can do better. So that was the whole purpose of the audit of the MTSS structure last year. I'll add one more thing. Heidi and I met with Jill at the collaborative this morning to talk about an audit of the business office as well, to see whether or not we have anything we can do differently there, or whether we are right-sized for our operation. So we're looking under all the rugs, carpets, the drapes. We're couch cushions, everything, trying to figure out how to best serve our kids in a financially responsible way. I say that to say this next part. Yes, some things that have been said about the number of people that we are suggesting that we reduce, including a district psychologist, a 1 FTE of elementary school case manager, and a 0.5 special education teacher and a 0.2 special education float staff member. So we're talking about 2.7 FTEs total out of well over 60 plus in the special ed budget. So it's a very small reduction overall, and this is a result of a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversation with people. This was not made in a vacuum. And I think, particularly in the case of the psychologist, I think there's a lot of merit to what was said tonight in what that position provides for us, and in particular what Sarah provides for us with her level of expertise. Though I would say we disagree on some fundamental pieces of it, and Jen and I, having looked through all the data that Sarah has helped provide for us, feel that we can get what we need by dispersing some of that work to special educators, to other staff, and then utilize the newly formed BOCES to get the rest of it. We anticipate that it's possible that we don't save any money. It's possible that we save $50,000 or $60,000. We're not entirely sure, but we know that there's a potential for that, and we want the opportunity to see how that plays out. With the case manager model at the elementary school, that is a relatively recent thing here in Windham Central. I think it did not exist when I came here as principal. I brought a case manager to the middle high school in my tenure as principal, with the idea, as just was described, to be able to have the actual practitioners working with kids more. And that person is housed here in the building. At the elementary level, it's a different animal because they're serving a bunch of schools and they're not in those schools. Also, because enrollment has declined, those case loads for those special educators are well below what we see in surrounding SUs and even what we've had in the past. And we believe that we can have those special educators provide that case management as well as serve the kids, and we're not worried about any compliance issues around that. And then the other two part-time positions are similarly just adjustments based on caseload and need, that we feel like we can survive without those. So I know that there's a lot of people who are upset. I know there's a lot of people who signed the letter, recognize that these are really challenging times, and there's certainly, I appreciate Sarah saying that she believes that things are well intentioned. They are. We are trying to best serve the kids and best serve the taxpayers simultaneously. But we always think about what we need for the kids first. And so we believe that this is a way to move forward, find some efficiencies to reduce what our spending would be based on the budget. And to conclude, I'll say this: the MTSS budget is a moving target anyways. Everybody knows this, the boards, Rich has talked about this numerous times. You get a family move in or a family move out and things can fluctuate wildly. So, we don't know how it'll all play out in the end. Heidi can talk a little bit about where we are on track right now with spending for the year. But we feel committed that these choices with these, really is a small number of percentage of people overall, our entire special ed department, that we feel comfortable moving forward in this direction. So we have prepared to RIF staff members in accordance with that by the end of this week with formal letters. So I know that Chris, before she departed as our Director of Student Services, because she has left at the end of last week, had conversations with, we believed everyone. I don't know if that actually happened, but we believed that she had conversations with everyone who were impacted by this. And so if that didn't happen, then I own that, but we believed that she had. So anyways, that's our report on where we are with efficiencies. The administration is prepared to move forward with that, unless of course the board's directing us not to, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Guys have any questions, comments, thoughts? Putting you on the spot because you're the only ones that came live to visit with me.
No.
Anybody in TV land, any comments, thoughts, questions, answers? Go ahead, Dwight.
I just had a quick question, Bob. Is this a result of any kind of federal cuts to the budget? Does that play into it at all?
Well, I think we've all seen the impact of, and we talked about this, the MTSS budget from an expense side was up 3 point something. Yes. It was a very, very modest increase this year from over last year, but the assessments went up 20+% because of loss of federal revenue.
Went up 49%.
Yeah, well, sorry. Then we did the buy down, which brought it to 20 something. Right. So yeah, pretty significant increases in the assessment sides of the districts because of the loss of federal revenue. So that is a part of it. And the declining amount of the special ed block grants. Census block.
It's going down almost 200,000 for next year.
And that's the money that was funded special education once we went away from the reimbursement model.
That's based on enrollment.
That's based on our enrollment, not based on our number of students on IEPs. That number, though, the legislature has been exploring because I believe
because there was no inflationary measure involved in it, and that's part of the yield bill right now.
Is to correct that, and so we may see tweaks to that block grant. Yeah. We may get an inflationary increase at least, which was not the case. But yes, to answer your question in short, yes, it's a lot of loss of revenue that's driving the increased cost to districts on the MTSS budget.
Okay, thanks.
You all set, Dwight? Dwight, are you all set? Yeah, I can't see him.
We have Crystal, who's an SU board member, and Fiona, who's only a West River board member.
Okay, Crystal, go ahead.
I guess my question is, are you concerned that it will take longer and there'll be a lag to get special ed services? Because I had a kid that had brain surgery, and we didn't have these services available through the SU, and it took like a year and a half to go through the contracted services in Brattleboro. Is there concern about this?
So I think you're talking about the evaluation process, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've met with Jill at the collaborative, soon to be BOCES, and she believes, based on what our need is, and that was data provided, by Sarah around what the annual needs are for certain types of testing, that she felt like she would have no problem meeting those needs. So that we can only go by what we've been told, and our hope is that she's right.
Is this something that you guys are going to closely monitor and revisit if necessary?
Absolutely. All of this stuff, I mean, the thing about all of these things is that it's an evolving, shifting landscape. And so, yes, these are things we are going to very closely monitor. We do have a new director of student services who's coming on. We'll just tell you everyone their name. We announced her name to staff yesterday, I think. Maybe it was today. Michelle Hartshee, who used to be on staff here in Windham Central. And she is coming back to work for us and take this over. And she's very excited to take on this challenge, because it's a huge challenge. But she and Jen and I and the whole MTSS team will be monitoring all of this very closely.
Are you all set, Crystal?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Fiona, I'm sorry.
Thanks. So, Bob, did I hear you say that you are unsure if this would save $0 or up to $50,000?
Yeah, what I said was, I mean, if everything, in an absolute worst case scenario, it will not save us anything. But in the best case scenario, it will save us up to $50,000 or even possibly $60,000. We have no belief at all, unless something dramatically changes, that it will end up costing any more. That's for certain. So we feel like it's a safe opportunity to sort of take the opportunity to see how it plays out, knowing that the potential for savings is pretty high.
So you're comfortable reducing staff with the potential that this would not save any money?
Well, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I believe that we will get the services we need, and the potential to save the money makes it worth moving forward in this direction.
Okay. A follow-up question. Can you please provide the data that shows that caseloads are down? Can you please provide the cost of unemployment that this would impact on the district? And can you please provide the data that you mentioned that you and Jen came up with that shows how this is going to be redistributed to how the workload of the current staff that is being RIFed, that will be redistributed to the board, please?
I'm going to defer to Rich.
Well, I mean, Fiona, just so you know, and I just caught myself, and I'm sorry, I don't think you're on the SU board, are you? You're a member of the West River board?
I am not.
Okay, so we'll ask for that, but
I can formally ask the representatives of that's on the red board to ask that are members of the SU. I'm just curious if you can provide that data.
Okay, I think that's a good point, and I think what's going to happen is it kind of goes. Some of this stuff is overlapping. We're going to change some of our budgeting procedures, and that is going to be something that we're going to be discussing next, about how we follow and we track our budgets. So
great.
Can I have her repeat the list just so I have it?
Yeah, no, hang on.
Oh, okay.
She said she would have one of the SU board members.
Right.
But as a board member, Fiona, you can request that. Why don't you send me an email on exactly what you're looking for?
Sure.
And then I can work on getting that for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are you all set then?
Yep.
Okay. I think she's the only hand up. Okay, so is there any other?
Hi, I'm sorry.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I'm on my phone and I can't figure out how to raise my hand.
Oh, no, that's
May
fine.
I make a quick comment?
Sarah,
Okay.
hang on one second. Just help me out here.
Of course.
Because I'm
But she's a West River
getting
member,
old,
but
right?
not an
So
SU
you're
member.
like
Yeah.
just the same as Fiona. Fiona, you want to put your hand down? It's throwing me. Go ahead, Sarah. You can, as a board member, you can make a comment. We usually allow that in the past, but if you remember, if there's any votes, you don't get to vote.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Go ahead.
I just want to reiterate Fiona's concern. I am having a lot of trouble understanding how we can allow the removal of these positions that are so significant to the well-being of our students and our staff. I am very concerned about the fallout with staff because they will have to pick up. I'm in the schools fairly frequently because I have kids and my work, and teachers and staff are already, I see teachers at their breaking point. And this is very concerning to me that this is going to add responsibilities to teachers and staff who I really don't think can handle more, or it's not fair to ask more of them. And to hear that we're potentially making these cuts and it might save a little bit of money, it's not student thinking, it's not staff thinking, and I would really ask that you please try to reconsider this decision with that at the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else on the board in TV land? You guys have anything? Okay, I got a couple comments, Bob, and a couple just kind of general comments. So we as a board don't decide who and what staff. We turned over, we have, and the state has taken it away from boards. We used to hire janitors, and we used to hire cooks, and we used to hire bus drivers, and we would have interview processes for a 10-hour-a-week person who was gonna help the janitor clean. The state, several years ago, especially with special ed, not only just took all that away from boards, they also took away special ed from boards and shipped it to the SU and to the superintendent's office, along with transportation and a couple other things. We don't decide where and how and what. We approve a budget that gives the superintendent the ability to run the school systems and run the school district, supervisory union district. And he reports back to us on where and how things are going, and we report back to him on how we feel he's doing with his evaluation, which is under old business item C. So I do have a couple questions though, because we are losing Marlboro is an operating school. It ends in BORO. There's gonna be some savings there, correct?
Yeah, there's actually, I didn't include that in these numbers
Okay.
because there are some other special ed staff, a teacher and a couple pairs there who would either, they would be moved, they have seniority or whatever within the SU, so yeah.
Okay, but that also means that our caseload in the SU is going down because we don't have the caseload from the Marlboro building.
Unless they go to any of their
Unless they come to one of our schools, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And so if you need to,
And there is an out-of-district case manager who works with out-of-district students, so if you have a Marlboro student who is placed or is attending a school in Brattleboro, that person would case manage that for us.
okay.
Because we don't lose the responsibility of special education for those students.
Right, we just don't have to, we don't supply the staff.
We're not providing the service directly.
Okay. And what about, I lost my other question, hang on a second. And if we get into this process, or if we make some changes and you find it's not working, you still have the ability to put staff back on.
Yeah, if you're not changing the budget, then the money is still in the budget to do that, so.
And it's too late to change budget because we've adopted the budget, the school districts are voting on it, so the money's there.
Yep.
So if you go to do whatever plans you're thinking of doing or changes you're gonna make, or if more families move in or more families move out, you can still adjust it. Okay. I think, unfortunately, we've had members of the public, so
I know,
we allow the board members.
but there was
Melissa, we've had members of the
I can't be a
public.
board member, I'm an employee, I'm a taxpayer in Dover.
Yeah, well, we're all taxpayers,
But
so,
there was an error in what was just said.
okay, then send me a letter and we'll bring it up. But
Thank you.
we allow board members who aren't on Windham Central to speak.
I
We
get
give
that,
you
but
the
I
ability
just-
to speak
There,
at the
there was
time.
an error that was just said from superintendent to you, so I will write that to you and let you know.
Okay, sorry about that. Everybody on the board, Rachel, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just a quick question about Marlboro. So are we, in our budget, how are we responsible for our special ed students?
You've never had the responsibility for your special ed students. It's been at the SU level.
Right, but if we send them to Windham Southeast, then
the Windham Southeast is gonna take care of some of the process, and then Windham Central has to pick up the case management and
Picks up the bill, as it were.
and it depends what the needs are. Some of the needs, Brattleboro or Windham South, I can get them all confused, but Bob, speak for it, please.
Yeah. If they're in a,
Sorry to throw this in the wrench here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the other schools will provide the service, and we will get sort of billed, if you will, for those services. We retain status as the LEA for those students, and so we have to have case management of those students as well. But we work in conjunction with the people in those schools.
It's very similar to what's happening to our secondary students in Dover, Wardsboro, Marlboro, Stratton, Windham.
Oh, no, Windham goes to Windham.
Windham, the younger students.
Yes.
Right.
If they don't go to a West River
Correct.
school.
Correct.
So, yeah, and it's really, the state of Vermont, I really feel I think education was a lot better when schools the town school board ran their education. But unfortunately, the state has determined that they're the only ones who can really run it right, and they've, and since Dan and I have been on the board, we've seen a huge erosion of local control until they tell you have local control, but you don't get to control anything.
Yeah.
Kate, as well.
Go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry. How do you see that?
No, it's hard to say.
Looks like our hand is. Kate, go ahead.
He's got better eyes.
Okay.
So based on, like, you did an evaluation of the total number of students, the projected enrollments for next year, and all of that. I know that you guys have had some staffing changes, as you just mentioned. And all of that's been taken into consideration. And you feel confident that you have what you need to take care of all of the students within the SU for next year?
As of right now, yeah, we feel comfortable with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody in TV land, any other comments, questions? Somebody's hand is still on.
No, that was good.
You guys all set?
Yeah.
Okay. SU budget adoption process and discussion. So we have, we used to have a pretty decent process several years ago. A few things changed. We had made several changes. If you remember back, Al, when you were chair in Townsend, we adopted the fee-for-service budgets. We would adopt them after town meeting, so the Townsend one year had their budget turned down and they need to make some adjustments, and they couldn't because we'd already told people they were gonna have jobs based on the SU budget. We thought it would pass. It all worked out in the end, but we've actually, at Windham Central, as Bob stated earlier, Marlboro votes their budget, and Stratton votes their budget, and Windham votes their budget on town meeting day to be able to have the numbers so that they can put the SU budget numbers into their budget. We have to have it out by sometime in the beginning of January. So then they can get their budget done by the middle of January to be able to present it at town meeting. We've had a process in the past where the administrator in the business office develops a budget. The officers review it with them, the officers of the SU, and then we bring it to the SU board, and then the SU board votes on it. Back before we had the West River and we had more boards, it was a lot harder to keep people together. We had 30 some odd board members, so we had to have 15 people. So we tried to get it done in one meeting, just because there was times when one person came in and then they had to leave because their child was done with basketball and we were like trying to get votes done before people walked out. We didn't have a quorum. I will say with our change in the district, in the SU, we have I don't think we've ever had a meeting where we haven't had a quorum, and it used to be a regular thing before that. So but again, it's usually one meeting we present the budget, and it's a big chunk of change, especially since when Bill was in and Steve and John before him, they took away all the special ed, the foods, or special ed transportation, and some other things brought into the SU. It really increased the SU budget, but it took a lot of our district budgets down, because we used to have all those employees for transportation and MTSS in our local budgets. So what I wanted to do was, in response to some concerns that have been expressed by the West River Board over the last couple years, is what I'd like to see us do. And again, remember, we're doing this really early, and I always had a joke in Dover, I don't know if Melissa remembers it, but I would say that people would say, do you have enough money in the budget for oil for next year? And this is in March, and the budget starts in July, and we don't start heating till December. And I said, if I could determine how much money I needed for oil a year and a half out, I would be playing the futures market, and I wouldn't be here. I'd have a tropical island all to myself, and it would never snow there. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have, and this is in your packet, folks.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not in your packet, I'm sorry.
We just developed this the other day, remember?
Okay. Administration develops an expenditure budget. That's Bob in the business office in September and his cabinet. The WCSU officers in early October get the first viewing for the initial feedback. Then we, at the October 22nd executive committee meeting, we would review the budget with Bob and give it our thumbs up, thumbs down. Any corrections are made. Then from that October 22nd till the middle of November, Bob would present the budget with the assistance of the person from that school board that's on the executive committee to that school board, so that they get to see it, they can review it, they can ask questions. And we do this in River Valleys, we did it in Dover for years. We never look at what it's gonna cost us. We look at the budget, and we ask our administration to bring us an educationally sound budget before we even start to talk about what it's gonna cost us. Because if we're worried about cost at the first review of the budget, we're not putting the students first, we're putting budget numbers and what it's gonna cost us first. And Bob will tell you, and Heidi gets very frustrated with me because she's always trying to tell us what it's gonna cost, and I tell her we don't need to know what it's gonna cost. We need to make sure we have a good, pardon?
It's my job.
It's not your job, it's your job to do what we tell you to do. So, or tell what he tells you to do,
Yeah.
but we give you direction. So I think by us not worrying about what it's gonna cost us, worrying about, is it an educationally sound budget, doesn't meet the need of the students, and then we will, with the WCSU officers, will meet with the business office and the superintendent after the budget's been kind of run through by all these different groups, the officers, the executive committee, and the individual boards, and we'll work with what it's gonna cost us and how we're gonna pay for it. And then we do sometime the beginning of December, we've got down December 2nd, we can have a full board meeting. That way, people aren't just seeing the budget for the first time and voting on it. It's nothing we have to vote on, it's a process, it doesn't need a motion or anything. But Bob's gonna send this out to all the board members, so please look at this and make suggestions, because I'd like to try to follow this for the upcoming budget. It's hard to believe we haven't even started the new budget, we're talking about a budget a year and a half away. But, is everybody good with that? Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody in TV land good? Any comments? Seeing no hands going up, you guys all set?
I like that as a process.
Okay.
It makes sense.
The other part of this is, and this kind of goes back to some comments made earlier, I don't remember where I wrote those notes. Maybe, I don't know, but anyway, I do want, if you look, I'm sorry, that's the education. Legislative update, I was hoping Emily was gonna be here to tell us what they're doing to us under the Golden Dome. But
I have some stuff. Yeah.
You got some
notes, yep.
Shoot.
All right, so one of the big things that we heard about early on in the session was a suggestion in the Senate to have a hard cap on growth from 1 year to the next with just a percent cap on spending. That has morphed, this is S220, that has morphed into going from a hard cap to just going back to the excess spending threshold. And thinking about how to adjust that. So when you think about cost containment, within the formula itself, the threshold is a mechanism to contain costs, because anything you pay over, you get double taxed on, and you're gonna share that money with the rest of the state. So right now, that number is typically set at about 118% of the previous year's average spending per pupil, per long-term weighted ADM, not real kids, but fake kids. What this bill currently they're talking about is 112%. So by taking the growth of that threshold to bring that down. So you would not see an increase in the threshold as much from this year to next year as you saw from last year to this year. That's what they're currently talking about. That again, this is still in bill form. The Joint Fiscal Office did put out some guidance on that. And there's two things I want to say about that guidance. One is that there is still some conversation about whether or not the long-term weighted ADM in schools that are non-operational should be weighted to the degree that it is. That conversation is ongoing. And so I say that to say that the projection in the JFO guidance says that Marlboro, because it's using their FY27 budget to analyze, Stratton, which is non-operational, and Windham, which is non-operational, won't have an impact by that 112% threshold. In other words, it would not force them to cut from their existing budget to hit that threshold. However, and that could change if they change that logic around the weighting, if you see what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to do it in two parts. However, what the guidance is suggesting is that River Valleys, based on the adopted budget for this year, would have to reduce an additional $571,000 next year to stay below the threshold, and West River an additional $443,000. So $1 million in RSU just based on this S220 as a cost containment mechanism. So
cool.
When we talk about the challenges and the ongoing challenges of all this, just know that that's still out there and being discussed. Second thing is the yield buy down. I referenced it earlier. I have strong opinions about this, and I think a lot of board members maybe share that. I've certainly heard Emily say this. We've heard Rich say this. I've heard Drew say it. I mean, using surplus to buy down tax rate is dangerous. It creates challenges. It pushes things off to the following year. We want to have a surplus. We want to have a fund balance of 5 to 8% operational budget to have in case of dramatic emergencies. But we don't really want to go below that for that purpose. This is being used, in my opinion, as a political tool, and that's bad policy. But it's popular, and in a re-election year could gain some traction, if you know what I'm saying. So I think it's a bad mechanism, a bad tool to use, but however, that bill does right now have a higher yield, which
Will help the tax.
will help the
rates.
tax rates of the districts who've already adopted based on numbers they already saw. So it's good news, but it's also bad news. But that's still, again, in bill form, and probably will not be approved until after even River Valley has a budget.
But that's, just as a comment, that's why our articles say up to.
Right, because then you can change your
We can
buy down
then
amount. Yeah.
change buy down, save a little bit more money for the following year if we have to buy down again. Eventually, we won't have to buy down anymore, or we won't have any money.
Or you want to be money to buy down, yeah, that's the danger. All right, then on the Act 73 side of things, there's two different things happening between the House and Senate Ed. The House Ed has put out a map. It's morphed a little bit, but in the basic version of the map, the map is supposed to go with legislative language, and the House has not put out their legislative language yet. They're still working on that, but I think someone referenced that they were maybe using Act 46 structures in that language.
Yeah.
Who did?
Dan.
Dan, yeah, I think that is what we're hearing, that is accurate. But that map, just so we can say it, Windham, West River, and River Valleys, and Stratton have us kind of doing a sort of a lateral consolidation with Windham Northeast, which is Rockingham, Bells Falls, Athens, Grafton, and Westminster, while
That we have nothing in common with.
right, and are connected by one road.
Yeah.
Whereas Marlboro would be bumped into Windham Southeast. Which is Brattleboro, yeah. So I have not seen any language released. There is a lot of discussion, as I mentioned earlier, about the structure of the CISAs.
Well, remember too, the House map is supervisory districts, not supervisory.
Correct, that's the other
unions.
piece. They are district driven, they are not SU driven. So you have a single board governing that has shared governance.
That can shut everybody down, but their school wherever the populace is highest.
And so this is what I'll say, but like that, I know it doesn't feel like it makes sense to have us aligned in the Rockingham direction. But one advantage of that, and I'm just going to use the word model, is that it has us, which are a collection of small towns, with another place that has smallish towns. Now, Rockingham is maybe a little bit bigger than some of our towns, but it's not as big as Brattleboro. And so the even playing field of towns and how representation gets put on that board could potentially be advantageous, versus one that has us shifting towards Brattleboro. It has sort of the big town and then a bunch of small outlying towns. Our town's representation on a board like that will be much smaller. So there's things to think about with that. It doesn't make sense geographically perhaps, or in the traffic flow pattern, or even how we interact or operate, work commutes and those things, but it does have another advantage. There is JFO guidance also on modeling for that. This one was interesting to me. They claim that SU or SD, that is everyone but Marlboro and Bells Falls together, would over FY26, they estimate an 8% savings in money by doing that. So I don't know
For Rockingham and Bells Falls.
for overall. So who's actually saving the money? I don't know how that works, but it's an 8% savings. By contrast, Marlboro, by joining with Windham Southeast, that SD is showing a 14% savings. So they include, it's not just Marlboro, it's other districts up down Route 9 as well, so and to the south. So that's the sort of House Ed version, and that's, again, we're waiting for language, but the CISA model as sort of as a block of how those structures serve those existing SDs is certainly a key part of their discussion. On the Senate Ed side, there's a little more fleshed out language there and a map. This one is a little bit different in how they think about it. It does have, there was two different versions, but the newest version has our SU split up, with River Valleys going towards the Bennington-Rutland district. Initially it was Bennington, but it's now sort of the Manchester-y side. And West River, Windham, and Marlboro towards Brattleboro in conjunction with Windham Southwest and Southeast. Initially Windham was pulled up into the Chester region, but now the newer map, it has it pulled back down to Brattleboro. So Windham, Jamaica are the end of that as it kind of swoops down the river valleys and collects Marlboro and other towns on that side as well. That model is an SU, and it has 30 SUs statewide, but really 19 of those SUs aren't really SUs, they're SDs because they're single town structures, a lot of them, particularly Chittenden and Washington counties. 11 of them are really what I would call true SUs. But here's the thing, what they're saying, what the legislation currently says, and of course it's all subject to change, is that if within 3 years of that operation, of it becoming operational, the number of districts in the state would have to reduce by 50%. So there would be some level of voluntary mergers first within the newly constructed SUs, but within 3 years, if the state doesn't get down to 50% of the existing number of districts, then they would have some forced process for doing so. And some of that language, there's a lot, because it's coming from the Senate Ed and Senator Baumgart's from Manchester, very heavy push on maintaining choice for districts that are currently choice districts. And there's even something in there which I read, it was unclear how it would work, but that there could be differently structured districts could be allowed to merge.
Which we weren't allowed to.
Which you are currently not allowed to under law, yeah. So, anyways, that is, and then if your district doesn't merge after the 3 years and you're still a single district, and I'm gonna use Marlboro as an example since they're here, that district could apply to be left alone as an independent district and not be merged as part of the SU, but there's a whole metric that they've laid out to figure that all out.
Which sounds like Act 46 when we had to go and ask for Windham not to.
Yeah. And waiting, because remember that when all this takes place, it is a shift also to the foundation formula that happens soon after this. The weights in that funding formula are reduced. So what we used to be, I would say, was I don't know what the ELL is now, it's like a 1.8 or something like that per, is a weighting for an ELL student would be reduced to like 1.2 or 0.8. So like the money, in other words, it's another cost containment, right? All those weightings go down, there's less money added onto that foundation amount that you get. Yeah. The foundation might be higher than what the initial numbers were talked about last spring or summer. It was like 13, now they're talking about 15 or 16, but the weights are brought down as well. So anyways, so that's sort of what's happening. And of course, I just lost your time there.
That's right.
That the ed bills have been exempt from crossover at the same time as the earlier bills. And so that crossover has not yet happened. These two plans, as I just described, are pretty different, obviously. And yeah, so we will see how that all shapes out. And even if anything happens.
And just as a quick comment, if everybody remembers last year, it looked like nothing was gonna happen. And then at the very last minute, all of a sudden, we got this wonderful bill. We scrambled all summer long to try to figure out, and then the committee they put together couldn't even figure it out and came back with no map, and we were supposed to have a map. So just pay attention, folks, especially in an election year, it's gonna get really.
It's fair to say that it's being heavily politicized, and that when you're politicizing public schools or schools in general, and ed funding, that's never a good sign. So.
Rich?
Yes.
So that was a lot of numbers, and I just want to.
Sorry.
No, it's fantastic. So many different directions that we could go, it sounds like, and just to kind of put it in relief, what would that mean in terms of if we had that hard cap of say 3%? I'm just guessing a 3% budget increase at West River would be another just putting you on the spot, sorry.
Yeah.
Say $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah, probably higher than that, but yeah.
As opposed to what you're saying they suggested was going from 118 to 112 on the excess spending threshold. So we're literally talking about almost $1 million swing in legislative thinking that is, and we've talked about all of the challenging issues that we've had in terms, and great or best case suggestions for where we can cut to have the least impact on students. And this is even going to be more challenging. I mean, we're doing everything we can to cut as little as possible and to the bone. All the low-hanging fruit is gone. This is just remarkable.
Reserves are running out.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that, I mean, I'll take the hard cap of 3% as opposed to a drop in 118.
I don't know if they did a comp on that.
They didn't do it,
You said 420.
420.
For West River, and they were taught, when I say the number I gave
was less than, was,
go back to the legislative update. It was 4 something though.
I'm trying, I was trying to see it.
Higher.
I mean, I'll just continue. I will say that anybody that is.
It was 443, so it's not a whole lot
It's
different.
comparable.
Yeah, so any schools now that are at or over the excess spending threshold are hurting, right? The ones that are under, they're probably okay. The ones up in Chittenden County, et cetera, that this is not gonna impact them.
It feels like there's 2 reasons to be under. One is you're not operating because of the weight thing that I just described a few minutes ago, and 2, you have a huge economy of scale, like Chittenden County schools,
So they're continuing to double down on hurting rural schools, and
small schools.
And small schools.
Because they don't want them.
Yeah, it's just appalling.
And
that's all I can
remember,
say.
Leland and Gray is a small school in their eyes. You know, and Twin Valley is a small school, and one of the things Laura Sibilia said, you know, is if you're gonna lose Jamaica, you've lost Windham. If, you know, our ward numbers in Wardsboro are really declining, Searsburg is not operating. If you go down into Reedsboro, closed.
Say Reedsboro.
I've heard the term desert bandied around, and
and that's what
we're
they're
going to be a
doing.
desert.
And then, as Rachel said, Dan, we'll get to you in one sec. Well, Rachel said is, you know, you're ripping these really old, vibrant communities, and you know, we're just killing them. You know.
And I was going to add that before you go to Dan. I'm sorry that some of the staff who were here mostly left, but Rory, how you doing, Rory? Because
he came late, so he has to do his penance.
He has to stay later. This is the reality of this, and this is why it feels catastrophic when we talk about having some reductions, and it just feels horrible to everybody. And I understand that, and this is the new reality of where we're at. So it's not what anybody wants, you know. It's just we'll try to find our way through.
Dan.
Yeah, so I do think it's worth just looking at the places in the state that would somewhat benefit from the funding formulas that Bob's talking about. You know, we live in a region which spends generous money on our schools, and I've always been proud of that. But if you look at the amounts of money that is spent in, you know, Bennington, Rutland, they are the ones who spend way less than we do currently. And I think the state is in the process of trying to incentivize us to spend a little bit less, them to spend a little bit more. I think that's an important thing to remember. And I speak as one who has always supported the expenditures that we've had here because I believe in them and I believe they're good for our kids. But they are trying to do a sort of a political thing of saying, we got to even this out somewhat. You know, the big schools up in the Burlington region and southeastern Vermont and the Central Valley are the big spenders, and they're trying to, you know, do what they can to say, you guys have to spend a little bit less, which I guess from an equity standpoint, I guess I can't really disagree with. So, you know, just something to keep in mind that this seems hard for us, Al, like you point out, and we've done the best we could over the years, but we do spend more money than lots of other districts around the state.
But it's sometimes more expensive for us in these areas to, you know, our buses run out quite a bit quicker than the ones in Brattleboro because, you know, it snows every other day in the winter in Dover, and they're putting salt on the roads. And, you know, my trucks last 5 years. You know, I bought a truck from Brattleboro that was 6 years old, figuring we are gonna have to put on new transmission and brake lines on it, and it looked like a brand new truck, and it lived its life in Guilford. It's, you know, there's a lot of disadvantages to living up here too. We all have to spend gas to get to a job. And then if you close Leland and Gray, I mean, how many people work here? If you close Windham Central, how many people get employment from that? And, you know, they don't care. And you know, it seems like they want us to all move into a big city and abandon the rural areas. No more sugaring for you, Dan. They're gonna make you abandon your.
I'm gonna get a job in AI, is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, but you know, the internet isn't as good in Marlboro as it is in Brattleboro. Or maybe
Anyway, you get my point. Is
No,
that,
it is.
we're a people, we sat around this group for decades, Rich, and have proudly supported our local public schools and the smaller ones among them, without realizing that there are places in the state who cannot pass those kind of budgets.
No, and I agree with you, Dan, 100%. And then there's some schools that pass budgets that make ours look silly. So, are you guys all good? Everybody in TV land good? I tell you what, we're boring people where they're dropping like flies. So, financial report. One of the parts with the SU budget adoption process too. I wanted just, and Heidi included it, and we're running late. We had a lot of public comments, so we won't spend a lot of time on this. But I'm gonna ask Heidi to do every time we meet as an SU, just to do a, kind of go through our budget and where we stand, year over year, and, you know, how our income's looking and how our expenses are looking. And, you know, it's a little easier to project on, some of the local budgets on, you know, where you're gonna be at the end of the year, but with her best guess, remembering that it's unaudited and it's just a guess. So it is attached in your, there is a link to it in your agenda. It's in your packet if you're here. You know, we also have a packet for you if you want what we're looking at. I'm sorry, I forgot. So yeah, here's the whole packet of everything that we're doing tonight. But anyways, because we're running kind of late, I think this will be a priority next meeting, and we'll go over this because we'll also be closer to the end of the year.
Sure.
But we're not looking in awful bad shape, are we?
No, so quickly, the three main funds, the general fund, MTSS, and the fee-for-service fund. After going through and analyzing the numbers, and knowing that the board had voted and approved using $100,000 of fund balance on the general fund and $1 million on the MTSS, we are gonna be very close to those numbers by the time we end. MTSS is a little bit hard to know because we get extraordinary funds reimbursed, but we don't really know how much that will be till we're finishing up the year. I think we'll come in maybe just a little under using $100,000 in the general fund, but when I did the budgeting for this year, I tried to really keep it as tight as possible, knowing that we were trying to save as much as possible. So I think you're gonna find that we're gonna be pretty close. I don't expect a deficit anywhere. The fee-for-service fund, you're definitely gonna have probably about, I wanna say 60,000 surplus, yeah. And we had voted at a previous meeting that I'm going to be moving most of those funds into the general fund at the end of the year because we've moved most of the assessments out. The only thing that's really gonna be in fee-for-service going forward is professional development. So that's gonna help in your general fund, but I'm expecting we're gonna be close to the budgeted numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is good. It shows that we didn't over budget, and it shows that we're paying attention to the budget. So, any questions on the budget? Okay, but we'll start doing that every month so that people can get more used to the budget, because I have heard a few times people at budget meetings saying, I don't know where all these monies are, I don't know what these funds are. Well, we should, you know, it shouldn't be when we're doing the budget, it should be all year long that we're paying attention to our budgets. District updates, well, let me just bounce around a little bit. Superintendent evaluation, that got sent out to everybody. If the boards can do it over your next meeting or two. And then we enlisted a former board member who's got much more technological skills than I to collect those and do up the summary or just summarize the responses. And then we'll meet, the executive committee will meet with the results and put together something we'll present to the full board in May. So if we can get that, say by the 3rd week of April, that'll give us a couple of weeks to put it together and get the officers to meet. And then we're going to do, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the January 21st, 2026 meeting, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Is there a second?
Kate seconds.
Thank you, Kate. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, appears to be unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Bob, I think we only had the one correspondence and she read that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we got that covered. So let's take a few minutes.
Can I throw one thing at you?
Yep.
Sorry.
Do we have an executive session?
We don't, but it's a little bit of a curveball for you. The May meeting date is when we want to do more of a financial discussion, and I didn't realize that. As we talked last week, this is the middle of Heidi's vacation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we.
That's fine, we can handle it.
You think?
She's trained us well.
Okay.
Don't you want me to give you the whole rundown on the current
You
budget?
can give it to Bob before you leave. And Bob and I, and we'll present it.
I was just gonna ask if we could meet a week earlier.
Well,
Okay.
let's send it out and see what people say. I mean, we do try to set it a year ahead, huh?
Just zoom in. It's only a couple hours.
No, I wouldn't.
It's only
She
an
doesn't
hour.
have to zoom in because we can.
Don't zoom in, go on
My daughter's
vacation.
getting
Thank
married
you.
that weekend.
So you don't have much to do. You just
No
gotta
zooming.
show up.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, no zooming from the wedding.
Okay. Well, no, she won't. It won't be. The wedding won't be during the meeting.
Right, no, that is true.
So no, we'll talk.
I'm not officiating a wedding and doing a budget. Put it out there.
Okay. So anyways, so district updates. I don't think Windham's here, right?
Correct.
Still? Okay, Dan, I don't know if you want to add anything as a district update? Is he still here?
No,
Yeah,
you've heard
he's-
plenty about Marlboro, so go ahead. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Stratton, Melissa, I have a present for you that you're really gonna like, but it's really for your sister's kids. Can I trust it with Boomer or should I get it to you? She's not answering me.
She's very confused.
Oh,
She's on mute.
Melissa, you're muted. She gone now?
No, she's
No, she
down
just
there.
moved.
She can't unmute.
Can you unmute her?
I can't
No.
unmute her, but I can give her a pop-up that might give her the.
There we go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. You could pass it along to Boomer and he could give it to me.
Okay.
I'm actually going up there this weekend.
Oh, good. I'll get it to him next couple days.
Awesome.
So anyways, you got a district update? I'm sorry.
No, just that we approved our budget at our school at the town meeting in March, the beginning of the month. We have a new school board member joining. There is also a new town spoke who is interested in joining, so then that'll bring us up to 5. And yeah, I'm plugging away with looking at the maps and redistricting and all that.
It's gonna be fun, isn't it?
It's gonna be fun.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So real quick, on March 30th, we have an informational / regular meeting.
Monday.
Yep, Monday. April 7th, we have our annual meeting, and on April 8th, we have the budget vote. So,
Where do you hold your annual meeting here?
yes, yeah.
Is it pretty well attended?
No.
Nope.
Not at all. Not at all.
Same group we have today? Just you?
Maybe.
There's no, everything is on Australian ballot. Something
No,
is closing.
well, don't you elect like your moderator and your?
Yeah.
So are there enough people to nominate them?
Yes, we've successfully elected a moderator every time.
Okay, you all set?
Yep.
Okay, and Kate, you wanna do West River? I mean River Valleys, I'm sorry. You can do West River too.
I was gonna say I don't think I'm well versed in West River, but for River
it's got a
Valleys,
river.
we are getting ready at River Valleys. We just our board approved our budget to bring forward to the voters. We have our annual meeting with our voters on Tuesday, April 28th. And we're electing 2 school board members the day before that via Australian ballot. So as everybody, we've had a really tricky year trying to figure it all out, and we're doing the best we can, and working to keep the kids front and center, which feels like a unique thing in the state these days. So.
Thank you, Kate. Dwight, you want to add anything quick? Dwight's our map follower.
Yeah, I'm a map guy. No, I think it's interesting. You mentioned that we have the senator coming on Monday, which was
Not this coming, the next one.
Oh, is next one? Okay, the
Well,
next.
it's April. Yeah, because this
April
Monday's
6th.
still March.
Oh, right. We got an extra week. We got an extra week
Yeah.
off. Yeah, the next meeting we have that, which is great. Thanks. That's all I got.
Cool. The most important motion ever made in a meeting, it has to be seconded, but can't be debated or discussed. What is it?
Motion to adjourn.
Kate, you got it. You want to second it?
Sure, I'll second
Okay,
it.
we have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. Those of you that did, thank you, sir, for sticking it out with us.